Hey, good morning. Happy Tuesdays, January 16th. Yes, I do have my coffee. So, I had this bug and stuff, so I've been kind of inside a lot. And I watched a couple of videos, and I thought I'd get you guys' take on this. And I'll give you my take as well. And it follows along the same lines as the video I did, When Do You Say Uncle? Alright, stay tuned. Alright, so welcome back. What I thought I'd talk about today is when do you say uncle on a machine? Now, I've been kind of trapped inside with this cold. And been watching some videos that are being put forth out there. And one of them was a push bar. And the guy paid, $30 for it because it looked pretty, and he took it home and he found that it wouldn't start on carb cleaner, or it would fire but it wouldn't start. And the thing kind of caught me. A couple things that are worrisome is that he said he knew it had good compression just by pulling it over, which will give you an idea if it's got some compression or not, but you should still check it. And he went through a lot of different things, tearing the machine down, looking to see if the keyway was sheared or had moved enough to put it at a time. And all the work that he did trying to get down to where the keyway was took him half an hour, all right? And he didn't check for spark. He didn't check for compression, which are the first two things you should do. And thirdly, he didn't check fuel. It could be bad fuel. It won't run on water. But he went from not firing good on carb cleaner to let me check the flywheel, and then decided that it was the cam. And now he's got almost 45 minutes into working on it. He checks online, and the cam he can buy for $35-40. Decides to buy a cam, orders it online, tears it all apart, takes the engine completely off the push mower so he can work on it on the bench to disassemble it to get it down to that gear, the camshaft. How much time and money does he have rolled up into that machine? See, that's something I have to look at on a daily basis. Is time is money. And if we're working on something that belongs to the customer, the time we're spending on that is costing my customer money. And I want some feedback from you guys that are running shops or are mechanics in shops. On a 10 to 15 year old push mower, are you going to put a cam gear in a push mower? Or do you just say uncle to it? And why I'm asking is I'm picking it apart as a shop owner because I have to pay an employee to fix that mower. And I don't know about your area, but our area is $50-60 for a decent looking push mower that runs. Maybe 75. But if your shop rate is even $50 an hour, let's call it $40 an hour, all right? So your shop rate is $40 an hour. You just spent an hour diagnosing it. So there's $40. And you've checked with carb cleaners, it wouldn't fire up. You checked the keyway. You've disassembled everything down. You have now taken the engine out of the push more body so that you can disassemble it more. And let me tell you guys, on a cam gasket or a cam gear, you're looking at almost a complete gasket set, at least the base gasket, right? So there's more parts that you're putting into it other than just the cam gear. And good chances are you get in there on that cam gear, you're going to find that it probably wore some other things too if it's, 8 to 10 years old. But let's say it's just the cam gear and the gasket. Now, if we can find an aftermarket gasket instead of an OEM, you might only spend $10. So now you got $50, $50 to $55 in parts alone. It's not counting your time of taking out all apart. Now you've got time putting it all back together. Most people I know, even decent mechanics, it would take them an hour and a half, 2 hours to disassemble, reassemble. And that's not checking to see if it runs yet. See, with me, there would have been a lot of other checks to do way before I got into the cam gear. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a one-man band and you've got time on your hands and there's nothing else going on in the shop that you can make money at or that you're working on, and you want to tear it apart, but I know even at $40 an hour, you're talking $80 plus $50 in parts, $130. You're over halfway with that push mower because it wasn't self-propelled. It wasn't anything fancy. It was just a Craftsman. It might have been 20 years old. But you got $130 into it if you count your time and the parts, all right? Now, if you're a one-man band, you got nothing going on, you're looking for ways to make a few bucks, and you decide to, well, I'll go ahead and I'll replace the cam gear and put a gasket in it. Now I got $50 into it. If I sell it for $75, I can make $25 profit on it. Well, I don't know about your area, but our area, 75 has to be a fairly new machine. I mean, decent looking. I know that the push mowers, even at your big box stores, aren't cheap anymore. You don't have that. Stop. You don't have that $99 mower or $79 push mower. They're all up around $200 now. But you still have to figure your time. I have to figure my time, even if I'm working on it, Because if you don't, you're not valuing yourself. Now I take it one step further. Now, if I were a person that is do-it-yourselfer, just getting into the business, trying to learn things, yes, tear it apart. But you're tearing it apart on your own time, right? To see what failed. And then you could at least chalk it up to a learning lesson of why it failed and how to fix it. I mean, that's got value in itself for educational value. It's kind of like I've talked before of, when you're first starting out, you can't charge big money for a labor rate because you can't do it on the backs of your customers. So part of that learning is tearing things apart and seeing how they work and putting them all back together, and then having the satisfaction that it runs when you're done and it runs good, right? So that's on the first one. All right, so let's go to the second video. The second video is the guy has a lawnmower that runs for 15 minutes. And what he's doing is he's mowing his yard, push mower, with a bagger. It's not self-propelled, it's just a push mower. And when he shuts it off to empty his bagger, the bag on the back, I call it, he can't get it to start again. So this guy is showing the running time of 15 minutes, shutting it off, and then trying to pull start it, and it won't start. But it'll start up on carb cleaner. What concerns me, I mean, maybe because we're mechanics or that we do this on a regular basis. You know, his first thought in the video was possibly a coil breaking down. And it could have been. I mean, but there's so many things that need to be done before you even go into trying to figure it out. I mean, this is why we stress to you guys that are just getting into the business or you do-it-yourselfers, is you need to develop a plan of attack. And that plan of attack is always, always, always check for compression. Because I've seen them where they got, warm, and if you shut them off and they wouldn't start again, and it would pick itself up on carb cleaner. I've seen that with a compression issue as well, too, lower compression. That there's just enough there to like 75, 80 to get it running. But when it warms up, now you've lost more compression. But carb cleaner will bring it back, right? So he never checked compression on the engine. That's one thing I would have done. He didn't check fire until after the runtime of 15 minutes. And I know, why check fire if it runs, right? I hear you. I probably would have stepped over the firing of the spark plug at that point if it was running, but I would still done the compression check on it. And what I would have done is I would have also put a spark connected to the spark plug in the machine to the coil wire, and at that 15, start seeing if it's starting to break down, because you'll see it in your spark tester. It's not going to be as bright, and it's going to be more fluttery than a good hit every time. Never did that. But what he ended up doing was he ended up taking the carburetor off and cleaning the carburetor, and he got it to run. Now, there's a couple of things that I would have thought of. One is, when it comes to fuel, is the vented gas cap. I've seen that happen where after so long that it's not allowing the tank to vent, so it comes up being kind of like a vapor lock where it won't start until it cools down, or enough time to where what little bit of a venting you have that's working on that push mower or rider finally allows enough to take the vacuum off from the fuel system. And this push mower had the automatic choke. And the other thing I've found in the past with these is it's one of the first things that you check after you do compression, check for spark, and your fuel, is these choke systems are well known for sticking, not opening and closing as they should. And a lot of times, just a little bit of PB Blaster and some carb cleaner around it will solve that issue. But what I'm seeing on the videos, I guess, is a trend, is that people are making leaps and bounds to how to fix stuff, but they're not going, they don't have any rhyme or reason of a set of steps to get you to that point. You could spend all day long on a push mower, and then because it will fire up and you hit it with carb cleaner, you could do the carburetor, you could check the vent cap, you can do all sorts of crap. But at the end of the day, if you didn't check compression, and compression is running around 70 to 75, there's your issue. And the older push mowers are well known for compression issues. But the thing that worries me is some of the videos out there that are trying to teach people, how to do stuff. And they're leaving out a lot, that it's up to the viewer's imagination of what they've done. Now, if you want to make some extra money on push mowers and stuff, I can see if you're a hoarder like most of us are, and you end up getting a bunch of push mowers. Like, we'll get push mowers that the engines run good, but the bodies are shot. And if we have free time and we go up into our boneyard, we've got the good engines marked good, and we will grab some of the push mowers with bad engines but good bodies and just swap a motor. When you're swapping a motor, you don't have as much time in it, And I'm not saying, put different motors, because it's one of the things is I don't like putting out Frankenstein machines without telling the customer it's a Frankenstein machine. All right. But a lot of these push mowers come with, when you do a parts lookup on a push mower, most times they don't show the engine. They say, because there's so many different engines that they put on these push mowers. All right. So we've done that where we have nothing involved in the parts or nothing. We're just simply taking the blade off, taking the 4 bolts, unhooking the pull cord, setting it onto the other body, and then taking the scrap engine that's no good, throwing it up onto the pile, and selling it for $60, $70. At least it's covering your labor costs, all right? So let me know what you think about that. I mean, what I do know is a lot of these videos are for entertainment value only, and I'm okay with that. But I'm worried that people are going to get a misconception of, it's a quick, easy fix. Because most of these videos are like 10 minutes long, and they'll fast forward through certain steps that are important on how to diagnose that engine and how to fix your own stuff. There are some good ones out there. Don't get me wrong. There are some good YouTubers out there that are teaching you the right way, and I thank them to get their help on getting you going in the right direction. But I would just like you to know, if you're just starting into this or you're a do-it-yourselfer, that if you follow the steps that we talk about here on the channel, you're going to eliminate a ton of your problems right off the bat. Because what if you put all that time and effort into the carburetor, and everything else, and then come to find out that you've got low compression? What are you going to do then? So I'm going to start wrapping this up. I want you guys to learn the right way, and You can watch all these other videos that these guys are doing and have it for entertainment value only, but don't make it a learning lesson, unless it's what not to do. Don't take just my word for it. I mean, I know of mechanics like Travis and Jason are two right off the bat. There's a lot of guys in this chat or in this channel, the one for Northern New York Parts, that are willing to teach others if they're willing to learn. And I can tell you from history, from my own perspective, these guys are even teaching me some things. Like they say, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I beg to differ. Some of the things that these guys say to me help me grow when it comes to growing with the channel, all right? I get back as much as I give. And that says a lot about the channel. That we are here as a group to help people that truly want to learn something. If you don't want to learn, you're probably going to get snipped a little bit by some of these guys that are going to tell you that that's incorrect. And you could take it one of two ways. You could take it as a learning lesson, or get pissed off about it. If you get pissed off about it, you've learned nothing. If you take it as a learning lesson, like I do, I tell you guys, the amount of time you spend gives you experience. And the more experience you have, the more wisdom you have. And one way to shorten the time to wisdom is learning from other people that have got a lot of experience. It's not a shortcut. It's just you're gaining the knowledge from someone else that has already had that experience. And that's called wisdom, right? So on that note, I worked on the generator yesterday at Craftsman that I did part 1 to, and I'll try to get that out today. I did get that running. Runs great. And then I did a kind of like a tool walk around with my GoPro of where I show I moved my toolbox, Claude and I did, out into the front part where it's easy to access it to work on stuff, because I'm working on more and more stuff, right? And that's where we're doing our videos, is out front. And one of the comments was it was hard to see the stuff that I had unboxed. And that's a learning lesson, and it's greatly appreciated. It's okay. You can critique me and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because that, for me, it's helping me. And that is one thing I do need to do better at, and that is getting close-up shots of stuff that I'm talking about. The problem I've got is I'm a one-man band most of the time. Claude's out there working on other stuff, but I'm trying to set the cameras up so that you can see what I'm doing and what I'm showing and so forth. And, give me some time. I'm a-learning. All right. You guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll catch you later on. Thanks so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, put them in the comments. I do read them. I do respond. And if it's something about mechanical, if I don't respond fast enough, I know there's guys on this channel that do respond fast. So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday.